Hey everyone. So this is it. We begin Essay 1 this week. You are going to read a short story on your own. You are going to develop some understanding about that short story, and you are going to write a paper about it. So let's get started. Okay. You are going to, if you're on the home page, all right, let's say you're in announcements here. You're going to go over to start here. No, you're not. I'm stupid. You're going to click on lessons, and you're going to go down to get to Essay 1, Guidelines and Drop Boxes, 914 through 921. That's this week. Click on it. Okay. Here it has all of the guidelines and the explanations of what's expected. All right. So let's look at this. Your first analytical essay is based on one of the short stories listed in the short story readings folder or classicshorts.com. You'll need to analyze setting, point of view, and or character development. A few words from the assigned topics may be tweaked. Just make sure you show the teacher your changes. Okay, so look, you're going to scroll down here and you're going to go to short story options, and you are going to pick one of these short stories to read. Okay. Now, I'm not really that big. I'm not that strict. Where if you want to read a short story by Stephen King, you want to read a short story from a collection that you have. Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm not going to check that it came from here. It just needs to be a short story. If you have, if there's a short story that you just read recently from a library book that you got during the pandemic, cool. You can pick a different story. If you don't have any stories at home that you like or that you have access to, then pull a short story from the short story readings on this page. Okay. All right, let me go back to where I was. Okay. So you're going to read a short story, which you should start today. Read the short story, okay? And then you have to think about what the author's trying to do through setting, point of view, and character development. All right. You are going to write a double-spaced 2 full-page length paper analyzing this short story. All right. You need to have an introduction, and you need to have body paragraphs, and you need to have a conclusion. Okay. Now, because this only has to be 2 pages long, you should try to have 3 body paragraphs. But if you have 2 really long body paragraphs that are really thoughtful and in depth, then that's okay. Okay. Here's some guidelines for your introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusions that I really want you to pay attention to. Okay. This right here lays out for you how your introduction should flow. Begin with explaining the title and the author of your short story. Now, don't write this in first person. Write it in third person. Okay, don't be like, I read blah, 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 blah. Write it, the story, The Monkey's Paw by author's name is about this, blah, blah. All right, because I want you to provide a short, about 1-sentence summary of what the story is about. Begin explaining what you think the author was trying to achieve in the story. Character development, empowerment, impact of setting. Start laying out the ideas you will discuss in your essay. You want to bring up the topics in your introduction because you're going to discuss them further in the body paragraphs. So you want to still have a few sentences about what you're going to be talking about. And then end it with a thesis statement. End your introduction with a thesis statement like author's name and short story name engages the reader through the use of blah, 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 blah. All right. When you are analyzing and talking about these stories, you want to be thinking, this is what I wrote right here. What is the author doing, and why is the author doing that? In some stories, the setting is very symbolic, like how we discussed in The Adulterous Woman, and in Story of an Hour, and in the Train Depot of Hills Like White Elephants. Sometimes the setting is not important, like in Sea Change. It's not really important, all right? So like you have to decide in reading the story, is the setting important? Does it have a deeper meaning? What about character development? In all these stories, we read about characters developing. The Sea Change, we have the character Phil developing into realizing he's gay. In Hills Like White Elephants, we have Jig, her character development going from a very codependent character to then becoming a very independent woman. We have same thing with The Adulterous Woman character development. All right, Janine grabbing her independence and her sense of self. Okay, so character development. How do these characters develop through the story? All right, that's a big one. And then setting. Is the setting symbolic? Does it mean anything? If so, what do you think it means? All right, and then in your body paragraphs, each body paragraph should start with a claim. All right, one main idea. This goes back to that lecture that I gave a couple of weeks ago. All right, you should have plenty of examples, but the whole paragraph should not be an example. Only about 30% of your paragraph should be examples and support, because the rest of your essay, of your paragraph, needs to be analysis. 50% of every paragraph should be analysis and interpretation. You need to prove your points. Okay? Don't summarize an entire paragraph. It cannot be summary. It needs to be analysis. You are explaining the significance of character development, setting, all right, or perspective. Like with in Story of an Hour, okay, her character didn't develop as much as her perspective changed. She saw herself first content, then totally happy with this idea of freedom, and then her perspective changed when she saw herself being that her husband was actually alive, that death was a better option than continuing to live as a married woman. All right, so there's perspective. And then your conclusion. Your conclusion is pretty much your introduction flipped. All right, take everything in your introduction and flip it upside down and restate in an interesting way. Okay, so you do need to use an outside source. Okay, let's see here. You need to have, you must incorporate at least one outside source. Okay, the one outside source needs to be quoted. You have to use a quote from a source at least once in your paper. It can be actually about the actual story that you're writing about, or it can be a topic that you apply to your story. Okay, your source does not have to be about the actual short story, but it's something that you apply. Maybe it's a psychology article. Maybe it's an article that you pulled that you think helps prove your interpretation. Okay, your source does not have to be about the story that you read. You're just using it to support what you are saying in your story. Okay, and so that source will go into the works cited page. If you have a source stated in your works cited page, but you did not reference that source, you did not cite that source in your paper, then that's a problem. Okay. Same time, if you quote a source but you do not have that source listed on your works cited page, that's a problem also. Here I have an MLA formatting page where you can click download, open, and you can type your essay in this document. All right, first, last name, instructor's name, Mr. Byers, course, due date, which is the 21st, and a week from now, your last name, title of your essay, type your essay, and then there is where you put the works cited page. Just leave it as works cited, hit enter, align left, and then copy and paste your citation right there for your paper. Okay, gotta have a works cited page. Okay, now make sure that as you're writing this, that you are being very clear. You're using quotation marks, and you're citing your sources. You do not need to include the short story in the works cited page, okay? Because when you go to these stories, they don't give you any of the citation information, okay? They don't tell you when it was first. Not really. I mean, it kind of does this here, but not all of them will tell you that when it's published and everything. Okay, so on Wednesday, I'm going to drop a video on how to properly integrate quotes into your paper and how to avoid the problematic dropped quotes. All right. So by Wednesday, hopefully you have already read the short story. You pick the short story, you've read it, and you're starting the process of pulling out information from it to start writing your paper. Okay. And so look for my video on Wednesday or Thursday going over how to integrate your quotes. All right. So let's get this done this week. And if you have any other questions, be sure to email me and I'll help you out. All right. Bye-bye.